Hello everybody, in this video we're going to talk about how to write the equation of a line or a linear function. So we are given three different scenarios here, or options that you might be presented with in a problem, and an equation to use in each of these scenarios. So the first one in here, yellow, says we're given the slope and we're given the y-intercept. So this is going to be the most basic, easy example because we can use slope-intercept form, which is just y equals mx plus b. So literally all you do is you take the number for m and you plug it in for m, and the number for b and you plug it in for b, and you've got your equation. The second one here in the light green, we're going to be given our slope and we're given a point that's on our line. So in that case, we can use the form that's called point-slope form. So it's aptly named because we have a point and we have the slope. So we can plug in y1 would be our y coordinate of our point, m would be the slope, and x1 would be our x coordinate of the point. And we could just simplify that to write our equation. Lastly would be if we're given 2 points, we're not given the slope. So we have to find the slope, and we can do that by using the slope formula, which we have right here, which is m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, or sometimes that's known as just the difference of y divided by the difference of x. Rise over run, if we're thinking about a graph, same thing. So we're going to look at three examples. The first two examples, we're going to look at a graph and we're going to write an equation of the line and interpret the slope a little bit. And then the last example, we're just going to look at some basic examples where we're kind of given one of those different scenarios and we're going to write the equation at the end. So example 1 says write an equation of the line, interpret the slope, and then how long will it take to travel 14 miles at the same rate. So one thing to notice about this graph is that it goes through our origin here, which means this is going to give us a proportional graph. So if we don't know the slope right now, we could do y2 minus y1. So if we write this down, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. But one thing we notice, the point that we're given, 7, 24.5, that's one of our points. But another point is the origin, right, which is 0, 0. So if I use those 2 points, this is just going to become 24.5 over 7. Okay, and so now in order to find our slope, we just have to divide that. Okay, so if we take our calculator and we divide that, we can do 24.5 divided by 7 and we get 3.5. So now we know our slope is equal to 3.5, and now we can plug that into our slope-intercept form, y equals 3.5x, and we would say plus b, but here b is 0, right? So we just leave it as y equals 3.5x, and that's known as a proportional relationship or a proportional graph. Now it says how long will it take, or we want to interpret the slope. So our slope here is 3.5, which means we are traveling 3.5 miles each hour. So now it says how long will it take to travel 14 miles. So now we can plug in 14 for y. So we can say 14 equals 3.5x, and now we can divide both sides by 3.5. And we're going to get x is equal to 4, and this will be hours. Okay, so it's going to take 4 hours to travel 14 miles. Okay, all right, example number 2. Now we have a table, not a graph, we have a table. And it says one company, we'll call this company A, charges a flat fee of $10 plus $6 per hour. And the table down here shows another company, we'll call this company B. Which company charges more per hour? Question number 1. When will the companies charge the same amount? Question number 2. So this down here is company B. So for company A, we can write our equation because we have a flat fee of $10, and then we have $6 per hour. So that per hour there is going to be our slope. So we have y equals 6x and then plus 10. So that flat fee just means you're paying it one time. So it doesn't matter how many hours you get from this company. It's still just a $10 fee. So that's the initial value or the y-intercept. Okay, so now for company B, we are only given the times in hours plus the price or the fee here. So we don't know the y-intercept or the initial value. We have to figure that out. But we can figure out the slope because how are our values changing? Well, we are going up by 4, right? So we know this is y equals 4x. And now we have to figure out what our y-intercept is. And so now since we know the slope and we know we know 4 points, right? We just need one of them. We can use point-slope form to figure out what our equation would be. And so let's write this as y minus, and let's go ahead and use just this first point, y minus 22 equals 4 times x minus 1. So now we're going to simplify, and we get 4x minus 4 once we distribute that 4. And now we can add 22 to both sides. So we get y equals 4x plus 18. And now we have our two equations for each company. So the first one says, which company charges more per hour? Well, if we notice here we have 6 and here we have 4. So more per hour is going to be company A because they charge $6 per hour, whereas company B is only $4 per hour. The second question says, when will the companies charge the same amount? So what they're asking us to do there is set those two expressions equal to each other. So we can write 6x plus 10 is equal to 4x plus 18. And we're just going to solve for x in this scenario. So if I want to subtract 4x here, now we have 2x plus 10 equals 18. And now we can subtract 10, we'll come over here. So now we have 2x equals 8, divide by 2, and we get x equals 4. So when are they going to be the same? At 4 hours, they will be the same, okay? All right, our last example that we're going to work through, we have 3 separate examples here. And basically this kind of mirrors that first initial screen that we looked at where we have those 3 different scenarios. So the first one, we are given the slope and we're given the y-intercept. Super simple, super easy. We're just going to plug these into our slope-intercept form equation. So this would be y equals negative 4x plus 7. Okay. Now for B, we're given the slope and we are given a point. And so now let's use that point slope form. Y minus 6 equals 1/2 times x minus 4. And now you can, depending on what the question asked, you could leave it like this in point slope form, or you could simplify to write that in slope intercept form. So if we simplify it, this would be 1/2 x minus 2 once we distribute the 1/2. Now we add 6 and we get y equals 1/2 x plus 4. Okay, so either one of these would be good. They're just in different forms. The top one's in point slope and the bottom one's in slope intercept. Now the last one here, we are given 2 points, so we need to find the slope first. So sometimes it's good to label these x1, y1, x2, y2, because we know our slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So now this is going to be minus negative 6, so that's going to end up being plus 6, right? So now we're going to get negative 16 over 8, which is negative 2. So now we know our slope. And so right now we have actually done point slope form twice. We did it just recently here on example 3b, and we did it on example 2. Well, there's actually another way to use a point and the slope to find the slope-intercept form equation of a line, and that is to use slope-intercept form. So that would be y equals mx plus b. We just found that m is negative 2, so we can plug that in for m. Okay, and so now we have x, we have y, and we have b, and we need to find b. So x and y, those represent just any point that's on our line. Well, if we're given these 2 points, we could use either one of them, plug those in for x and y to solve for b. And then I'm going to use this point right here that I've circled. So y is negative 6 and x is 2. So we just plug those in and we solve for b. So we get negative 6 equals negative 4 plus b. Now we want to add 4 to both sides, and we get negative 2 is equal to b. And so now we can take negative 2 here, and we can plug it in right there to get our final equation in slope-intercept form. So y equals negative 2x minus 2. All right, and that's how you write equations of linear functions.